excerpt from the new documentary Hot Coffee, and we're joined by the film's director, Susan Saladoff. She spent 25 years as a public interest lawyer representing victims of corporate negligence. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Susan. We are also joined by Judge Oliver Diaz. He is featured in the film, and we'll get to his story in a minute. But we've just watched Joan Clayburgh of Public Citizen and others talking about this issue of tort reform. We started with the story of Hot Coffee. Lay out why you're doing this.
There's been a huge public relations campaign over the last 25 years to convince the public that we have too many frivolous lawsuits, that we have out-of-control juries, that we need to change our civil justice system, which is our third branch of government, where an average person can go head-to-head with the rich and powerful, with corporations. And people have a completely distorted view of our civil justice system because of this public relations campaign. And I wanted to tell the truth. I wanted people to understand that they were giving up their constitutional rights every day to access the courts, and they didn't even know they were doing it.
Explain tort. What do you mean by tort?
So a tort is a civil wrong. We have a criminal justice system and a civil justice system. We all know what the criminal justice system is. But when people are injured by a defective product, or if they've had, been the victim of a medical negligence, they have the right to go into a court system and bring a case against the person or the entity, the corporation that harmed them. Those kinds of injuries are called torts. They're civil harms.
You profile 4 cases. One of those cases is one that a number of people have heard of, but I don't think they would have thought of it as an issue of corporate malfeasance, and it's the case of Jamie Lee Jones. Explain her case.
So Jamie Lee Jones was 19 years old. She lived in Houston, Texas, and Halliburton is huge in Houston. I mean, it's like the biggest corporation down there. And she went to work for Halliburton in their IT department. And when she was hired, she was asked to sign an employment contract. What she didn't know was that embedded in the employment contract is something called a mandatory arbitration clause. These clauses are in all of our contracts now. They're in our cell phone contracts, our credit card contracts. If you get a car loan, a mortgage, some doctors are now putting them in their consent clauses. What they are is they are literally contracts where people are asked to sign. Oftentimes, they don't even have a choice to sign. If you get a credit card, for example, and you use it, you've agreed to mandatory arbitration. People don't even know what it means because it's something, no dispute has happened yet. But if you have agreed to that and then you have a dispute with the company or the entity, you have waived your right to the court system. And people say, well, why should I care about that? Well, why you should care is because the company that you are having the dispute with, once you've signed that, they pick the decision maker, the arbitrator. They pay for the decision maker. The decision maker doesn't have to give a reason why they've come up with the decision. It's completely secretive, and there's no right to appeal. And what everyone is doing these days is they are literally voluntarily giving up their right to access the court system, and they don't even know they're doing it.